Coal's importance for solar panel manufacturing. I've researched this for some time, and it is indeed interesting not only the amount of energy and raw materials required to make solar panels, but also that it requires coal. It really starts with the silicon making. So the silicon required to make solar panels, or actually computer chips in your phone or in your computer, requires a lot of coal. And it's really for two reasons. Number one is really the carbon source itself. So in order to reduce silicon from silicon oxide, you need a carbon source. Imagine the same as iron is made. So steel products are made from iron, and iron is made from iron ore, Fe2O3. But it's actually chemically reduced using carbon from coal. The formula is given here also in this little block entry. And out comes iron and in the end CO2. The same way, you have silicon oxide, which is basically the general found silicon product, the sand, the high purity actually silica sand or high purity quartz, is reduced using a carbon source. And that carbon source is largely, but not only, coal. So the fact is that you require coal to make silicon, and you require silicon to make solar panels. Now you may say, yeah, it's not so much. Well, it is actually quite a bit. And not only do you require coal, you also require petcoke. Petcoke is a side product, a leftover product from the oil industry. And you also require hardwood. And why is required wood pellets from hardwood, from the Amazonas and from other areas, not from newly green trees, but from really old, 100 years old trees. Has to do with the flame, with the product in the smelter, and how these silicon products are made. What's interesting is that this entire supply chain of making silicon, actually when you make silicon, it's called polysilicon. You require polysilicon in a two-step process. You first make metallurgical silicon, then you upgrade it into a high purity silicon up to 99, so it's 99.999999. That's the purity you require to make solar panels today, or in fact any computer chip. This entire supply chain is largely in China. So not only does it require coal for chemical purposes, it also requires the coal for the energy purpose. In China, literally every silicon smelter gets its own dedicated coal-fired power station in order to provide, one, the heat, and second, the electricity. Of course, on top of the silicon making, you have the solar wafer and ingot making, which is required to then, make really fine and make pure silicon ingot coming out of an oven. And that silicon ingot is then here dried and then cut into silicon wafers. And then, of course, the solar panels are made. So then you need to, of course, make the modules itself. You require aluminum, you require glass, you require copper, you require rare earth, plastics, acids, and over 400 chemicals in this entire process. Of course, you also have mounting structures requiring aluminum and steel frames and cement foundations. And you need to transport all of this. And those solar panels are supposed to last 25 years, but the fact is that large scale, utility scale, newest Chinese solar panels don't last 25 years anymore. They last 12 to 15 years as per some of the information, the actual information, and also the sources are given in the blog. So we are aware that in China, the energy comes largely from coal, and I also detail in the blog some of those numbers. We are also aware that China continues to build large additional coal-fired power stations every single year. And last year was again not a record year, but a year probably amongst the highest in the past 6 years in terms of newest addition of coal-fired power stations.